What's the juiciest rumor at your school that turned out to be 100% true? Resource officer was a child molester and then murdered his wife after he was fired. He fled and they still haven't found him over 10 years later. He's on Marshall's top 15 most wanted list. His name was Dan Hears and his mother thinks he's dead. The computer tech teacher got caught having sex with a student. He was put on suspension while the investigation was conducted. He killed himself by running his car into a tree. The science teacher was a pedophile. Some kid found Viagra in his desk and he was put in admin leave when they found a used condom in his trash after the search. Then kids came forward. Was not pretty. Two teachers that were married to each other were sleeping with students. The husband was the first to do it and the wife found out and slept with some of her students as revenge. Also, the resource officer was sleeping with some of the 18-year-old seniors. All got confirmed when they were fired for it. Well, the teachers got fired. The officer got moved to bicycle patrol. The officer got moved to bicycle patrol. I think he's ridden enough. This one girl would make those colorful friendship bracelets made out of needlepoint floss for every guy she gave a BJ to. There were lots of bracelets. Edit. I sure f***ing hope Emily doesn't have Reddit. Edit 2. Just because Emily gave mad BJs doesn't mean I will. The art teacher was sleeping with both the history teacher and reteacher. She was married to the chemistry teacher who she previously had an affair with while married to the woodwork teacher. I believe she married the reteacher sometime after I left school. Edit. A few people have asked what RE is. Religious education, which state schools in the UK used to have to teach. Taught by an atheist, which was refreshing. This is better than a Mexican soap opera. Rumor had it that a teacher was having sex with some of his students that wanted higher grades. No one believed it to be true because he was married and just had his third baby. 100% true and all the students were proud of it. He's still in jail 5 years later. An abortion using a coat hanger where a student bled to death. It happened years before I attended the school. And was the basis of the ghost sightings near the bathroom. Man, this is disturbing as hell. That there is an underground bunker from the Cold War era below the school. Not only is it there, but it turns out you can access it from the pay changing room through a secret trapdoor. It's in Krakow, Poland. Because so many of you were curious. And it looks like there's actually lots of schools that have one. Edit 2. Also, it is confirmed to be a bunker, but it was built before the school existed and was most likely emptied by previous owners of the building. Some kid in my year grade found nude pictures of his art teacher, female, on a school camera when he went to take pictures of his painting. Didn't have a clue what to do about it, so just started telling people and no one believed him. Couple days later he's pulled out of class and had to see the school headmaster about it. They found the camera and the photos and somehow the teacher was unaware whatsoever. Thing is, the teacher didn't get any reprimands, but the kid got excluded a couple of days for spreading true rumors about the teacher. In middle school, a rumor floated around pretty much most of the school that the principal had a consistent record of sexual assault. And what I f***ing know. He got arrested for sexual assault when I was a freshman in high school. It was all over the news and everything. A younger male teacher, upper 20s, newlywed, was having sex in his classroom during lunch with an older female teacher, married in her mid-40s. A student caught them and filmed them. Pretty much blackmailed them into turning themselves in. Well, that's a twist I could get behind. A student used blackmail to get the offenders to do the right thing for once. We had a Spanish teacher who would keep giving random financial business advice during classes. One day he tabbed over to his stock trading homepage and accidentally revealed that he was a millionaire. Rumors about his past started circulating. Around graduation, some students found old newspaper articles confirming that he was a former meth dealer who had spent time in jail. Was a seriously cool guy. Actually. Two sports teachers were having an affair with each other. even though one of their spouses was also a sports teacher in the same school using the same dinky office. I feel like every pay teacher I ever had was plowing another member of staff. Edit. I should mention I was homeschooled. That the school district security guard would let you get away with anything if you gave him some coke. He later got caught and fired for it. If anyone else went there, it was at Desert View HS in Tucson. Edit. I was talking about cocaine, not the soda for those who didn't realize that. And on a serious note, it's all about the DR. P and FCK the rest. Was Pepsi okay? Spanish teacher was a former male PRN star. La puto SDN la biblioteca. The wood tech teacher was married to the French teacher. They had a child. The PE teacher FK'd the French teacher. The wood tech teacher went into the PE department and threatened to beat the shit out of the PE teacher with a cricket bat. I believe this was during a normal school day, but it was before my year started there. A second PE teacher got involved and stopped it, so everyone kept their jobs. Later on, the wood tech teacher married the geography teacher and they had 2 kids, whilst a third PE teacher cheated on her husband with the second PE teacher, and every Wednesday an hour before lunch I would see PE teachers 2 and 3 through the window of my science classroom. They would get in a car and leave together. Sometimes I would see them come back and sometimes I wouldn't. I jokingly pointed it out to people before anyone else caught on, and later they became a couple that was known to students. TL. DR. 6 teachers. 3 pregnancies. 2 affairs. And a partridge in a pear tree. Teacher from my high school. Girls were creeped out by him and constantly reported him for making them uncomfortable. He was quite obese, barely hung to knees, so the school and other students wrongly assumed these girls were being rude. 6 years later he's in prison after being caught with child PRN on his computer, alongside upskirt photos of girls from my school. That there was a girl in the boys' bathroom giving BJs for $10. There really was, and she got expelled. Strange women lying in restrooms distributing blowjobs is no basis of a government. A girl blew the whole basketball team after a game. Don't know the exact details. I just know the girl left and 3 kids got expelled. Edit. I'm not naming the high school for privacy reasons. The reason they got expelled was because it was a Catholic school. And they did it in the locker room. The rumor was that a boys' gym teacher and a senior girl in my class were involved. They got married when we graduated. He was at least 10 years older than she was. My 6th grade math teacher was super creepy. He would assign seats randomly but always place the girls in the front of the classroom. Did the whole lingering stare thing. And was always trying to get people to hang out with him during lunch. I never did. But he was married and has a baby, so no one really suspected him of anything other than being creepy. Fast forward about 7 years. The teacher ended up being a sex offender. He had an ongoing relationship with a girl that began when she was 13. Based on what I could see from the various news articles, she was either in my year or the year before me. The police came to arrest him in the middle of his class, cuffed him in front of his students, and then had him walk throughout campus in cuffs to get to their car. I don't feel bad for him at all. But I can't imagine how his wife and son must feel. Edit. For everyone asking. This was in the Bay Area. Probably not the juiciest thing, but the one I remember because of how I found out. A few of our high school libraries' walls were weird. Sort of a lowercase b shape. So there was this empty space behind the bookshelves up against the walls. Tunnels. Basically. Word was. Students were f-king in there. I worked in the library. Had to move the shelves. Clean the tunnels. Found used condoms. It was an all-boys school at the time. If that matters. Mind. The condoms weren't the worst thing. Really. The leftover food debris in there was worse. Stuff like chicken bones. Edit. Couple years later. I was talking with an ex-schoolmate. Another guy from our graduating class comes in. I hate that guy. My friend says. He's f***ing gay. Dude. You're gay. There's gay. And there's so f***ing gay other gay people think you're too f***ing gay. Turns out that gent had been one of the entrepreneurial fellows selling services. For a few dollars ago. I wasn't shocked. Since I already had some idea. But I was surprised that the going rate had been so cheap. Also, some kid said he was going to kill himself a bunch of times over getting worse grades than his little brother, and finally one day he jumped in front of a train on the tracks right behind the school. I heard some details of what kids saw and it was about as horrifying as you'd think. The cheerleading team was doing coke off the toilet seats. Edit. For everyone saying the tank would be better. Maybe my high school was unusual, but we had the same high power flush toilets like other public bathrooms. They had no tanks. Just the base of the toilet and the seat. Our bathrooms had no doors to the entrance. Probably as a deterrent to this behavior. So the counters were a no-go. The toilet paper dispensers were those large circular ones. Believe me, I agree with those of you saying it's gross and idiotic. But there weren't that many alternatives in the bathroom. We weren't allowed to have bags or backpacks with us, so no one carried a purse. And they did it in the middle of class, so bringing a textbook would be suspect. Also, the main offenders were too young to drive, so they didn't have keys necessarily. And this was pre-smartphone and before the average high school student even had a cell phone. Edit 2. Real glad the cheerleaders' collective idiocy lead to my highest rated comment. There was a rumor that our female English teacher was sleeping with the starting QB. And that her youngest child was not her husband's, but the QB's. She was caught sleeping with a different one of her students years later. And it is now known she has slept with a number of former students, including the QB. Now people really think her youngest kid isn't her husband's. Edit. QB equals quarterback. Sorry to my non-Americans on the thread. This is by far the most attention that a post of mine has received. And I love that it turned into a Blue Mountain State thread. Go Goats. When I was in middle school, the big joke rumor was that two teachers were banging. Years later, everyone finds out that not only were they having an affair outside of their respective marriages, but that the male teacher was cheating on both women with a man. The female teacher moved away and ended her own life. The entire situation was unbelievably messy. The male principal got caught f***ing the male history teacher in his office. Both were married. Edit. Principal. Sorry. Their husbands must have been furious. Some kids made semen frosted brownies and gave them to another kid and he ate them. There was a girl who wanted to lose her virginity, so she offered a guy a phone top up to take her virginity and he did it. Damn, where's this kinda girl when I was in school? The physics teacher was esting and sleeping with one of his students, not sure if she was 18 or not at the time. Although honestly, no one was surprised. He was a little too friendly toward the girls and changed his pants in the back of the classroom once. He ended up leaving for personal reasons over Thanksgiving break. But of course it got out. Sadly, his wife was in her third trimester. That within the first 2 weeks of the school starting and everyone meeting each other. So she convinced them to make love, not war. We had a study hall teacher who was a huge hardass with a handlebar mustache who was retired Navy. Turned out he was a hardcore gay BDSM PRN star in the early 2000s. He got fired even though it was long before his time teaching. I ended up writing a letter to the administration, county, and their attorneys, but he stayed fired. I guess it would be hard to command respect from students when googling his PRN name immediately brought up a pic of his balls bound in leather. Our math teacher in high school had a student teacher she was helping train to take over for her when she went on maternity leave. The student teacher was maybe 20-21. A fairly attractive young woman. So naturally all the guys in the class had a crush on her. One guy in particular was a super senior and 18-19. He flirted with her non-stop and she would act super embarrassed and blush and in a non-committal way tell him to knock it off. I'm sure you see where this is going. Well, towards the end of the semester he was bragging about going on a date with her and how they went to the movies, then he went back to her place and they had sex. We all thought he was full of shit. But the rumor got around the school and of course the teachers and faculty found out. Then one day she is just gone. And we had substitute teachers for the rest of the semester. We all knew what happened. Looking back, it's kind of a shame that she probably wrecked her future teaching career of him. A girl got caught giving her boyfriend a blowjob in one of the stairwells of my high school. The government teacher, one of the most ultra-religious and pure-hearted individuals on earth, was the one who caught them. Ended up in a science class with a girl. She gave no FCKs that she got caught. And took her legend status like a champ. Still makes me laugh over a decade later. Very attractive married with kids pay teacher was f***ing very attractive married with kid English teacher. We all thought they were just very flirty people. But lol, nope. Full on affair going on. We had a running joke around my school for years. If someone asked could you insert question here, most people would reply I'll do it for a bag of Doritos. This was a school-wide inside joke because a girl was caught sucking this guy's dick in the bathroom. Some authority figure had the bright idea of asking why the horny teen would allow this. She said she would do it for $3 and a bag of Doritos. No one ever saw the girl again, but the guy became a legend. That there was a video of a girl in my year fingering herself for a pack of cigarettes. The rumor went around for about a week before everyone in my year had it on their phone. I want to say this was 9-10 years ago. The school ended up having assemblies about it and said that if anyone was caught with it on their phones, they'd press charges for child pornography. We were 14/15 at the time. I think a couple of kids actually did get charged for it. Though I think it got sealed once they turned 18. The poor girl in the video ended up changing schools more than once because the kids at the first school she changed to ended up getting hold of the video and it went round that school too. A secretary walking in on the bitchy old assistant principal. MS. Soper. Giving head to the other assistant principal in his office. It was within a few days that the guy hurriedly resigned. So must have been some truth there. She was still there though. But I couldn't look at her straight after that. Neither did the administrators. Apparently. That the female religion teacher had been sleeping with boys in grade 10 for upwards of 15 years. Teacher had a mail order bride. The priest of the church that ran my Catholic elementary school got caught selling drugs in the park. My parents quickly decided public school was suddenly a good idea. And in high school the senior directing our school play got caught f***ing one of the freshman actresses in Dracula's coffin in the theater loft. Everyone thought the cheer coach was pregnant. She left soon and denied it. IDK how long later? It comes to light she was. But it gets weird. This is her story. She didn't know she was pregnant. Had a stillborn baby in her house. This caused her to have a mental breakdown. She tore arms and legs off the baby. Then put the body in a tire in her yard and burned it. Cops and firemen get called for a fire in town. Due to how badly the body was burned, they were unable to prove if the baby had taken any breaths or if it was born dead as she claimed. Everyone thought she was pregnant, but sadly we were all right. I think social services took her kids, she had kids before this one, and she moved out of town. Edit. That our priest was a weirdo child molester. People who didn't know him thought he was a little strange and that he would run through town in pink speedos. Pedis in speedos. The married teacher and married principal got caught f***ing in a park. The elementary school teacher was really a pedophile. And another teacher in the middle school. FCK. This is a f-ked uptown. Not a rumor in the traditional sense. But we had a Mr. and Mrs. Smith and a Miss Smith. Since the name was common. Mr. and Mrs. could have not been married to each other. We were all confused by it and joke Mr. Smith probably got confused and sometimes slept with Miss Smith. Mr. and Mrs. were married. Mr. was also sleeping with Miss. MRS died eventually and MR married Miss. The vice principal at my high school was addicted to crack. Turned out to be true and he retired early. Now, I'm aware that this has the making of a hilarious story, but it's not. He was the first man in his family to go to college. Black men in 1970s Texas didn't have many options outside of the army. He distinguished himself as an educator and he helped a lot of underprivileged students get accepted into colleges all around the country. Sadly, his entire family was killed by a drunk driver. Like many people facing a horrible and tragic dilemma, he turned to drugs. Fast forward to 1999 and there's a major drug bust in my town. The dude that was running the dope house ratted on the VP and several other high-placed individuals that ran my town. I'll let you guys form your opinions on the man, but I will say this. He never mistreated a single student in his 25 years as a teacher and now lives his life in solitary disgrace.